After some time spent in the beta version of Photoshop, Adobe have now rolled out their AI distraction removal tools to the production releases of both Photoshop and Lightroom. I've been spending a couple of days since the release putting these new tools to the test, comparing the results across a range of photographs. Are they a useful addition to the toolbox or just another AI gimmick from the company that makes machine learning look like a fifth grade group project done the night before it was due? Perhaps they didn't read the question fully before attempting to answer. Yes, to great fanfare, Adobe have rolled out another AI tool for its flagship photo apps, Photoshop and Lightroom, both flavors. It's called Distraction Removal, and you can find it in the Remove tab of the Develop module in version 14.4 of Lightroom Classic, version 8.4 of Lightroom CC, and it's in Photoshop 26.8.2. You've probably seen a few gushy promotional videos from the usual suspects here on YouTube. I watched several of them myself, and based on those videos, I went into this testing with high hopes for these new features. Before I talk about my results, let's have a look at how the People Distraction tool works in Lightroom Classic. You can find these new AI-powered distraction removal tools in the Remove tab. You can see we've got the standard remove stuff here, and we've got this new section, distraction removal, down the bottom with the two options for reflections and people. There we go. As you can see, all these groups of people have been highlighted in red, which the incredible Adobe AI has identified as human beings. We can deselect any of these by clicking on the individual icon and tapping the little rubbish bin icon, and they will be removed from the selection. To remove the humans from the photograph, you simply click the Remove button. I'll then run through. It's a fairly quick process. Et voila, it's like 28 days later, only with nicer lawns and better looking flower beds. If you're unhappy with the results of the AI generation that's taken place, let's say, for instance, this one here, and click on it, and you get the usual 3 variants that you can cycle through. So you can see the different kind of backgrounds that the AI has magicked up. This one has decided to insert an enormous orange man, so I don't think I'll be choosing that one. Let's go back to the first one. Much the best one. If you're unhappy with all 3 of them, you can click the Generate button to re-roll any of those AI generations. As you can see, it's a simple process, but there are problems with this tool which individually aren't deal breakers, but which collectively make it an unlikely choice for use in a commercial environment or for any photographic work more serious than a novelty birthday card. Let's talk about annoyances, and the first issue is that it's not actually very good at recognizing human beings. In this first test shot, we have one human being located in the bottom centre of the frame, a tourist there, enjoying a lovely summer's day in Hyde Park in Sydney. But let's say I just wanted this nice framed shot of the church through the frame of the trees, and she was getting in the way. We'd want to remove her. So here's the People Removal tool. It's only selected half of this person. It's not deemed her legs to be human. It's also decided that this part of the church, this little kind of window, is human, as is this light in the street, whatever that is, and over there as well. So it's misidentified 4 things and incorrectly only assumed half of this is an actual human. Now, whenever I do tests like this, people comment and say, Andy, you'll make it too hard for the software. You're a meanie. You're going to make it a bit easier for the software. Well, I don't know why I'd want to do that. Here's a photograph I want to fix, and distraction removal tool should be up to the job. It clearly isn't. So here is another test shot. Would you say that the humans in this one were visible enough to be tested? Or am I still being mean if the people distraction tool fails to recognize these as human beings? Let's see how it does. Opening it up, and it's identified the right-hand side of this gentleman and his shopping bag and a piece of curbing. Doesn't think these are people, doesn't think this lady here is a person, doesn't think these two tourists here doing a selfie are human either. So, yeah, the groundbreaking Firefly AI is about as capable of detecting human beings as Adobe is at treating its customers like them. I tested this tool on a bunch of photographs with people in them, and it only seems to work properly when the humans are a very specific size and preferably standing in such a way that all their protruding fleshy human limbs are easily identifiable by the short-sighted AI. Here's an example of when the tool worked well. Firstly, it identified all of the humans, and secondly, it did appear to do a decent job of removing them. But this brings us along to what I personally consider the deal breaker. If you look at the generative pixel information that the Firefly AI model is replacing the humans with, it's typically low quality, often blurry, and regularly overzealous with its cleanup. In order to demonstrate that, I exported some test shots that has high quality 16-bit TIFFs. I've opened them here in Lightroom CC, just so we can do a little bit of pixel peeping with the compare tool. So firstly, I'd like to show you an example of actually a good quality replacement. If we click over on the left here, we have this gentleman. Here's the before and after. And as you can see, where he was, it's done a nice job of matching the pixels and the patina of the bushes. No complaints from me. That's a high quality removal. Ditto, if we come to these people here, it's done a pretty good job of replacing them and putting this barrier here in place. If we have a look on the beak, it hasn't done such a good job of recognizing all the humans. Now, I realize I'm asking a lot from it to remove all the humans from Bondi Beach in the summer, but still, it's interesting because it hasn't removed all of them. It's a bit like the Rapture. Some of them have been left behind. Let's move on to another test. This time, let's go back to that Hyde Park fountain shot in St Mary's Church in Sydney, and we have our before and after. And sometimes the results that you get from the generative AI isn't great, and it doesn't matter how many times you regenerate, you don't end up with an acceptable result. If we take a look at these ladies here, on the left here, we have the statue, the leg of the statue coming out, and the best I could get a generative to do was to replace it with a horse's hoof. If we look at the little boy, it's changed the direction of the foot. The statue's been changed. And if we go to the ladies here, zoom in on them, this light fitting or whatever that is, security camera, whatever, it's removed the pole but left the top of it, the fitting, just dangling in mid-air. Let's go on to another test shot, this time slightly further back in the same park. And let's just swap those around. So we've got the original on the left. So you saw this shot in the demonstration, removing the people. And there are a couple of issues with this. Let's start with these two ladies in the foreground here. And as you can see, the generative AI has completely removed this door. So it's changed the architecture of the building. The other issue with this photograph is it's not just removing humans, it's changing background details that didn't need to be changed. If you look at the windows here, we've got some of the original kind of leading in the windows there, and that's been removed. And we've just got a single kind of monotone black color in there. Ditto in the right-hand one. I tried to regenerate that particular instance multiple times, could not get it to stop removing the door. If we have a look over at the fountain, we can see it's kind of messed up, the jets of water here. So I wondered if the quality of the generative AI was the same in Photoshop, which it's just been added to as well. And so I did the same regenerations on Photoshop. And let's have a look at that now. So let's get an original in here so we can compare apples with apples. So original on the left, regenerated on the right. First of all, let's check out the lady, see if Photoshop did a better job with the architecture. No. Door still gone. Same deal. Tried to get it to include it. It would not. I'd say this one was actually worse because it's put some weird sort of netting there. If we have a look over at the fountain, it's apparently inserted a drunken party goer into the fountain. Somebody's comatose in the top of the fountain, in the top right there. Not sure what that's about, but it's not very good. And I don't know what's going on here. It's like some elephant sculpture or something. And I cannot impress upon you enough how many times I pressed the regenerate button to try and get good outcomes for these, but it wasn't having it. So then the question I had was, does the regular generative remove tool do a better job? And the answer is categorically yes. Here's the same image, and I just went through and manually circled all the different people, highlighted them, and then individually removed all the different groups. And if we start with the ladies on the left here, hooray, our door is back. And also we have leading in the windows. It hasn't messed with the background detail. It's taken away this bench, but it had a human on it, so we can perhaps forgive it. If we go over to the fountain, the comatose partygoer is no longer evident, and the jets of water from the fountain all look great. The weird, elephant thing's gone. It's done an all-round better job. The question I have to ask, having tested this tool, is this. Who is Adobe aiming it at? Is it just a fun gimmick to be used by hobbyists for fun social media posts on fun old TikTok? Or is it a serious tool pitched at serious professionals who'll be seriously selling their photographs, either digitally or in print? Because if it's the latter, then Adobe are well and truly taking the piss. There is simply no way that you could use a distraction removal tool for any kind of professional work. They would laugh in your face. And if it's the former, and it's just a bit of fun, then what exactly are Adobe telling us about the future direction of Lightroom and Photoshop? At a time when Capture One pushes further and further into serious photographic territory, and when DxO continued to introduce well-tested and useful features to PhotoLab, Adobe decided instead to make a load of balloon animals and make fart noises with their armpits. I just don't get it. I especially don't understand why the existing generative fill tool is so much better than this new distraction tool. This brings us along to the partner to the people removal tool, the reflection removal tool. In my testing, I found it worked well, as long as you use it on the right kind of reflections. Here's our first test shot for the reflection removal. And we've got a kind of textbook case of how this blights photographs. I saw this really cool camera store when I was walking around Melbourne one day and took this photo through the window. And you can see we've got these big white glares where the glass in the window is reflecting on the front of the lens. You get these white glares. And this is far and away the best, most effective tool that they've added in this update. Let's click on this reflections icon and click apply. And there you go. Reflections gone. It's almost like the window never existed. You can dial in the strength of this if you want to keep some of the reflections for some reason. And if you wanted to have just the reflections, you can dial it all the other way. And you get kind of what was in the window when you shot, which is quite weird. But as you can see, it's highly effective on that classic white glare. It doesn't work so well on shots like this one, where you got these kind of, not your white glare, but just a straight reflection from somewhere in the street. You can see there's a car here. We've got some foliage in the top right-hand corner. If I apply the reflection removal to this one, you can see that it hasn't done very much at all. If I dial this back to the midpoint, so that was what it was like before. Here's what it did. It basically just darkened them. So don't expect it to fix this kind of photograph where you've got kind of quite solid reflection in the background. But when you've got that classic white glare in the window, it will do a brilliant job of cleaning those up. That result on the first shot was nothing short of miraculous, wasn't it? But the tool has clear limitations. The Enhance tool is one of the most powerful features in Adobe Lightroom. It includes 3 machine learning tools, a denoise, super resolution, and a details enhancer. In previous versions, whenever you use this tool, the app would generate a secondary DNG file which would sit alongside your original photo in the library, adding to the complexity of asset management and taking up valuable storage space. In this latest version, Adobe have now made the Enhance tool non-destructive, which is a welcome upgrade. I'm sure we can all agree. Even better, you can now dial in precisely the amount of denoising you want to apply to your image using a strength slider at any point in the editing process, rather than having to pick a strength setting which gets baked into that DNG at the time of processing. The quality of the denoising is excellent, and the fact that you can return to the image after processing to tweak the results is extremely useful. There is one big change that Lightroom users should be aware of, which I haven't seen mentioned anywhere else, and that pertains to the .xmp Sidecar files. If you use Sidecar files to safeguard your Lightroom edits from any possible database corruption, then you'll see a huge increase in the size of those .xmp files if you also use AI tools like denoise on your photos. If you're using Lightroom's XMP Sidecar files to save your photo edits as a precaution against any possible corruption of your Lightroom catalog, then you should be aware of the fact that those Sidecar files are going to get a lot bigger if you use any of the AI tools in the detail enhancement. So for instance, let's say I wanted to run denoise on this. If we look at the original RAW file, the XMP file is here. You can see it's 2 kilobytes big. Here's the RAW file in question, 37.6. So let's now run denoise on this. That's great. Done a really nice job there. And now, as per, you can see the little white exclamation mark on the thumbnail there. I'm going to save out the metadata by pressing Control or Command S. Yes, I want to save to file. Overwrite the settings, that's fine. So outputting the metadata. Just give that a second to save to file. There we go. And if we now go and look at that same XMP file, we can see it's gone from 2 kilobytes to 6.8 megs. It's not a huge issue, but it certainly affects the portability of the image files and substantially increases storage space if you use the AI tools on a high percentage of your images. If you look at the release notes, there are a couple of items down there in the small print. This one caught my eye because it goes to the heart of the sluggishness of the develop module. Experience more responsiveness while editing and navigating in the develop module, especially while using masks and switching between images. Like my Adobe voice, I've been working on it. I can confirm that the develop is definitely snappier in this release, particularly when using the old previous button to copy your edits from one photo to another. I'm not sure whether this was one of the fixes they mentioned, but that previous button is now near instant if you have no AI masks to copy. And even if you do have AI masks, they're markedly faster than the previous version of Lightroom. Adobe, as we've all realized by now, are all in on AI and clearly looking for minor use cases to justify adding generative features to their apps and bumping up the subscription fees. I'm all for time-saving features when they work like they're supposed to, but like last month's all-new landscape mask features, the people distraction tool is just a gimmick at this stage. It's flawed in several fundamental ways. 1. Considering what its main purpose is, it's fairly shit at actually recognizing people. 2. The generative pixels it replaces them with can be low quality and prone to hallucinations, and you often have to re-roll the generated button multiple times to get close to an acceptable result. Thirdly, you can't edit the result, so if it misses someone, you have to use the generative remove tool anyway. Meanwhile, the reflections removal is a solid addition to Lightroom, but only when used on your classic plain vanilla white light window reflections. The upgrade to non-destructive edits for photos processed using the enhanced tools is a welcome one, particularly the fact that you can now just dial in the amount of noise reduction using a slider after processing. Adobe's Lightroom 14.4 update feels a bit like opening a box of sweets and discovering that some greedy bastard's eating half of them. Excitement tempered by reality. The enhanced improvements are solid updates, but the distraction removal tool is so hit and miss that it feels like Adobe's AI is playing darts, blindfolded, occasionally on target, but mostly just scoring collateral damage and friendly fire. Still, at least the develop module runs a bit faster now, which means you can experience disappointment with the new AI tools much more efficiently than before. And that'll do us for this look at Adobe Lightroom 14.4. Have you tried out the new distraction removal tools? How are they working out for you? Do let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this content, please give it a like. If you got value from it, do consider subscribing to my channel for more photo, drone and video content from me. Till the next time, guys. Ta-ta.